This is BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, simulcast on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now live from Studio B, your hosts, Spencer Linton and Dave McCann.
BYU Sports Nation is live, your day-to-day play-by-play in Studio B, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Thursday, December 23rd, inching closer to Christmas, wherever and however you're connected. Great to have you with us. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside a man who is ready to air his grievances, Dave McCann.
Happy Festivus to everyone.
You can start with me, Dave.
We left the poll in the crawl space because we got a lot to talk about today.
Oh, man.
This is a loaded show. It's almost like Christmas 2 days before Christmas.
Yes. We hope there are no grievances with all of you after today's show because, as you mentioned, Dave, an A-list guest lineup including Pro Football Hall of Famer, NFL Super Bowl champion and MVP Steve Young joins us on the anniversary of the 1983 Holiday Bowl dramatics. And what does he think about Kalani Sitake's extension and what it means for BYU moving into the Big 12? Also, what advice would he give to Tyler Algier as BYU star running back weighs his decision on whether to go pro or come back to BYU for one more year? Plus, she's a member of the United States women's national soccer team. Ashley Hatch and her Golden Boot join us, and BYU continues their holiday hoops run in Hawaii. Now, bring on today's BYU Sports Nation headline.
That's a hat trick of good things,
right?
That you just mentioned. BYU men's basketball beat South Florida last night 54-39 in the Diamond Head Classic. Cougars had 48 rebounds in the win. Caleb Lohner had a career-high 14. Gideon George, 11 points, 3 big threes. Fousseyni Traore, he had 11 points. This was an ugly game. It was like a fruitcake that your neighbor brought over, and you're just kind of like, well, I'm just going to nibble on it. but it just sits there. That's what that game did the whole time. And then BYU pulled ahead late. South Florida plays a strange style of basketball. Vanderbilt tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time on BYU Radio, ESPNU. BYU will need to play a little bit better. It's going to be a much different game.
Sure. Vanderbilt features the SEC preseason player of the year, Scottie Pippen Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr.?
There you go.
As long as there's not a Michael Jordan Jr., I like BYU's chances tonight.
BYU wide receiver Neil Pau'u has declared for the 2022 NFL Draft and will forego a fifth year with that COVID exemption. Pau'u, before his season-ending injury against Idaho State, had 46 catches, 526 yards, and 6 TDs, 123 catches in his career, almost 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns at BYU. Pau'u joins James Empey as the other player currently from BYU's team this year to declare for the NFL Draft.
Good luck, Neil. TJ Haws led the Lakeland Magic with 25 points last night. They lost to the Salt Lake Stars in the G League. Haws, 10.4 points per game with the Magic. He's got a beard going. This is a new man.
Hey, with all of the COVID madness happening in the NBA, maybe TJ gets the call up to the Orlando Magic.
We're going to start calling him Big Red.
Good grief.
Big game last night. Nice job, TJ.
The Washington Spirit NWSL champions have signed their star forward and BYU alumna Ashley Hatch, who will join us later in the program, to a new 2-year deal. Hatch scored 10 goals in the regular season, more than any other player in the National Women's Soccer League, and claimed the Golden Boot. During the playoffs, she scored a game winner against North Carolina to help propel them onto that championship run. Ashley Hatch joining us later. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
All right, from one football, yes, soccer football, to the other football on the gridiron, Dave, as we look at the entire BYU football season just before Christmas and ask ourselves this question. What did we learn this season about what BYU football needs to do to get themselves truly ready for Big 12 inclusion when that happens in the late summer, early fall of 2023?
We saw the starters are ready for the Big 12.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that the backups are not ready for the Big 12. So I circle 3 areas that will reveal down the stretch of the season, and certainly Georgia Southern, we saw a lot of it, and then in the bowl game, and even USC when we had a hard time stopping them. We depth at linebacker. After losing our 3 best, we didn't have a lot left. We need depth at the defensive line and depth at the offensive line. As I mentioned yesterday, the offensive line was more like a snow globe situation. Every week, you just, let's turn it upside down and see who's going to start. Defensive line, they were in and out. Guys were banged out. We need we need a first wave, and we need a second wave. You know, Utah, for example, has built a second wave of players. So they arrive late in the season. Finally, it used to be this way. They're playing their best football, and they're healthy. They got a chance to go play in a big game. BYU arrived here at the end of the season, banged up, not healthy, lose to a third-place team in Conference USA.
You called them the walking wounded.
The walking wounded. So that's what I think. BYU's not built for a big bowl right now. Right now, with the exception of last year, and last year we didn't play any P5s, as we play P5 teams, we usually didn't get out of September before being maimed. This year we got through October.
Sure.
We didn't lose Wilgar until November. We'd already lost Peely and Ellis and a couple of those guys. But by the time we got into November in the bowl game, it was a totally different team.
Sure, the wear and tear finally took its toll.
And that totally different team cannot win the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma State or the Fiesta Bowl. It's a blessing that we're not in the Fiesta Bowl this year.
You know what's fantastic about joining the Big 12? And there are many things, including the financial boost, obviously, competition, competing for conference championships. But the fact that BYU can now structure their early season schedule very differently than years previous as an independent. Instead of playing 4 Power 5 teams.
You're going to see Southern Utah.
Yes. Yeah. Typically, those 4 Power 5 teams are like mid to upper tier within their respective conferences. Take, for example, next year. And even we feel like there is some balance to next year's schedule, but BYU still plays Baylor and Oregon in September.
Yeah.
That's rough. They open to South Florida. Okay, whatever. But Baylor and Oregon back-to-back, and then you got to come back and take on Utah State, who's no pushover. They're coming off an 11-2 season. That's a tough grind early in September. So BYU's not going to have to do that anymore when they get into the Big 12. Southern Utah, Dixie State, Idaho State, Weber State, whatever. You will have what we think will be an ABC schedule. You'll have one A opponent out of conference. Okay, you could have an Oregon or a Baylor. I mean, technically Baylor will be in BYU's conference, so you can have an Oregon or a Utah. And then you have some options. Play an FCS team, play middle of the pack Mountain West Conference, play Colorado State, whatever. It's going to be different before you get into the grind. So hopefully that will help alleviate some of these injuries, Dave. And you recently wrote an article in the Deseret News that pointed out all of the injuries that BYU went through, and they still made their way to a 10-win season. And
we're in the top 20 most of the season. And they'll probably still be in the top 20. We'll see.
They'll certainly be in the top 25. They're not going to drop 12 spots.
What tricks the fan a little bit, I think, is the team comes out of the locker room, and they're wearing the same uniforms. And they look just like the team that came out of the locker room against Utah, Arizona State, Washington State. And yet they're not. They look the same because it's the royal tops and whatever. It's a totally different team.
Sure.
And that's why that team couldn't beat UAB. And that's why the other team that looked just like them in the same uniforms went 5-0 against the Pac-12.
Man, yeah. And again, the sting is real from the Independence Bowl, but
this team right here we saw up against Utah, that was a totally different team that we just saw last week.
Yes, personnel-wise,
including the quarterback.
Yeah, you don't start your quarterback, Jaron Hall, who is out, Neil Pau not playing, who was declared for the NFL draft. Harris LaChance was back but played limited minutes on the offensive.
James Empey's out. Isaac Rex is out.
Isaac Rex, your starting tight end, is
Gunnar
done.
Romney's got a bad knee.
It's just such a battle of attrition and injuries. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned Keenan Peely and Keenan Ellis. BYU was kind of maimed in September because both of those guys went out in the first 2 games. Yeah. Arguably, they were BYU's 2 most polished, best defenders overall. And your then best linebacker and your best defensive back gone.
And then the other one was Wilgar, and he's out.
Unbelievable.
Wait till you hear Steve Young's advice for Tyler Algier.
Okay, yeah.
That's coming up because Algier survived it all somehow.
Yeah.
But, he's got a decision to make.
How's that for tease? So, yes, trying to transition a better schedule so you can stay healthier. That'll happen naturally when BYU gets into the Big 12. But building depth. Depth was tested more so than ever before this year, and BYU, for the most part, Dave, responded like, champions of the gridiron. It was amazing.
They managed to extend the depth through October. Got to go through November.
Yes.
You got a year to get ready, and it's probably going to take a little longer than that, a year to get ready. But when you do that, you are good all 12 weeks. Now you're competing for a Big 12 championship.
The lifeblood of a program starts and ends with recruiting, and already we're seeing an uptick in that with BYU being invited to the Big 12.
Yeah.
Let's transition now to our question of the day, because we are 2 days away from Christmas, and one of us is wearing an extremely questionable sweater. The other is wearing a much more understandable sweater. We are thinking about the holidays and Santa Claus. Our question of the day, what do you want Santa Claus to bring BYU athletics on Christmas Day? Let's go to Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
Speaking of sweaters, Lauren_J_Smith tweets in, I've never wanted a sweater like I want a sweater like Spencer Linton is wearing today on BYU Sports Nation.
It's an explosion of royal. That's what that is.
It's an absolute thing of beauty, Lauren says. I appreciate that, Lauren. This sweater is near and dear to my heart. I'm excited to hear what Steve Young has to say about it.
Yeah, he has an opinion. I like the royal with the navy backdrop in the South Championship banner, because that blends everything we got going on.
All shades of blue.
All shades.
Studio B.
All shades of blue.
Hashtag BYUSN, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to send in your Christmas wishes from Santa Claus for BYU athletics.
Coming up, Ashley Hatch has had herself quite a month, and she's going to join us in just a bit. We get ready for the holidays, and she's thinking about the World Cup.
And yes, Dave, as you mentioned, Steve Young joins the program next. His advice for Tyler Algier and how he views the BYU football season in 2021 overall. Stay with us. Can't miss show on the way.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
Hey Cougars, Coach Dave Rose here. I might not be on the court right now, but I still play on my sport court basketball court at home. Now more than ever, we all need a safe place to stay home, stay healthy, and play with family. I have an active family with my kids, grandkids, former players. My wife and I decided the best thing we could give our family is the gift of backyard memories. Sport Court provides a place to help kids become champions, and they're certainly popular in our neighborhood. For our new home, we chose Sport Court. Learn more about designing yours at sportcourt.com.
Introducing the all-new 2021 Nissan Rogue. A fuel-efficient car that's compact enough to park just about anywhere, but has enough cargo space to fit your hobbies, your kids' hobbies, and your dog's hobbies. It's equipped with the latest safety and efficiency technology for a smooth and quiet ride wherever you want to go, whether it's through the neighborhood or across the country. Are you ready to Rogue? It's at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown.
City needs me.
I bet if I moved in with you, you become president. I have parents. This is just temporary.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Listen tonight as BYU Hoops takes on Vanderbilt in the second round of the Diamond Head Classic in Honolulu. Coverage begins with Cougar pregame live at 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain. Greg Wrubell on the call, 10 p.m. Eastern time on BYU Radio and the app. You can also watch it on ESPNU.
Listen, Greg Wrubell and Mark Durant can have Honolulu and Hawaii over the holidays because, Dave, we're here in Studio B, and we now welcome in Steve Young, former BYU quarterback, all-time college football great, NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Steve, happy holidays to you. Thanks for hanging out with us as we near Christmas. I guess it brings up a question because today, December 23rd, is 38 years to the day of when you caught the unforgettable pass from Eddie Sinet and danced into the end zone to beat Missouri. When I say 38 years ago, what comes to mind?
38 years. That's what comes to mind. I'm like, no way. 38.
That's what I forget about the game right now. The year is just like, it makes no sense to me. But I guess we have to own it. I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, I mean, that game, I was telling you guys before that, like, I played in 2 Holiday Bowls now, and I've been around 4, and getting killed by Ohio State. And I was like, oh no, we didn't play well against. I didn't think we were playing that well against Missouri. I wasn't. Against Missouri, and I'm like, oh no, you can't lose 2 Holiday Bowls. You can't even go home. You can't go back to Provo. You have to stay in San Diego the rest of your life. You can't lose 2 Holiday Bowls. And I remember thinking, like, we got to get something done here. And I remember the desperation of that play at the end of the game. And Norm Chow, I remember we would go to the sidelines on the timeout. He goes, okay, run. I can't remember what he called it. It was sweep right special or something like that. And Eddie, so I go back in the huddle, and Eddie said, now I go, Eddie, we're going to run that thing where you throw it back to me. He goes, what? What are you talking about? I go, remember we practiced that one time where we, and everyone, the offensive line were like, Eddie, you take the sweep and you throw it back to Steve. He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, Eddie, just I'm going to hand it to you. You start, and then you throw it back to me. It's not hard, And I'm like, oh my gosh, how's this going to go? And then we run the play, and Bobby Bell, the All-American linebacker, is right there. And I'm like, oh, this is disaster. And Bobby Bell, and I saw him recently about it. He goes, I can't, all those years, that's all I think about. That's all I think about. Because how he missed it and didn't run it in for a touchdown himself. Like, it went right through his hands, right through, and I almost missed it because I thought Bobby had it. You know what I mean? What? This is mine? And then after that, obviously, it was amazing and, incredible. And I've been excited in my life a few times, where I was outside of myself. But that was probably the most that's the most probably in my whole life, where I just I don't know. My reaction was whatever. I don't know what it was. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what it was, like one of those things where your brain is completely now gone, and this is what we're doing. And I look at it every time when I see that highlight. I'm like, that is weird. That's whatever you're doing.
It's the Steve Young dance.
It's a 5-alarm jig in the end zone.
It's a 10-alarm jig.
Steve, in that game,
it was unbelievable.
In that game, you threw a touchdown pass, you ran for a touchdown, and then you caught the game-winning touchdown. There were only 3 touchdowns in the game. You're the only quarterback in school history to ever do that. Afterwards, did any of the guys get after you? There had to have been at least one that at least expected you to share the touchdowns.
Sure, I'm sure it was Kozlowski, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure I'd owe any of those guys. But no, I don't think anyone really kind of figured that out. They were used to me doing kind of weird stuff. I was always running around too much, and it was kind of fun though to think about over the years. Hearing that was kind of cool. Like, wow, because I don't think I ever caught another touchdown pass my whole career. So that was the only one I ever caught in my whole life, and that's pretty cool.
Steve Young is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We're discussing the 1983 Holiday Bowl. And, Steve, I feel like because it's the holiday season, it is Festivus. You probably have some grievances with the fact that we always bring up the Baylor game that year. So we would like to formally apologize, and we're not going to talk about Baylor. We're just going to talk about
Steve, this is an olive branch from the guys. I suggest you take it.
Unbelievable. I can't believe that this Baylor, and I'm going to double down now because we're down to Baylor this year, and I couldn't watch. I was like, there's too many memories. I throw up in my mouth every time. I just can't do it. I can't, that was too painful.
The Vengeance Tour is coming back to Provo. Baylor's at BYU next year, so I think it's like it happened in 83 and then 84.
Maybe I should run the flag out. I should run the flag out that day.
Yes.
Kind of have a cathartic kind of like.
That's a fantastic idea.
Full circle moment where we just put it all away.
Listen,
that's what we'll do.
To Baylor's credit, and then we won't talk about Baylor anymore, but after that, it started a run that we have not seen at BYU in a long time. You didn't lose, and then the next year, Robbie didn't lose and won the national championship. And what a special time to be one of the 2 quarterbacks to be in the mix during that run.
Yeah, and I think we knew we were pretty good. And like this year's team and like others through the years, you knew that you can't do it unless you're undefeated. And that's why Baylor is so painful, because it happened so early. And then we had to kind of make up for it the rest of the year, trying to claw back into the top 20 and try to do something special. So, and then handed it off to Robbie, and Robbie just went to Pittsburgh and kind of, just ran the table. There was and I remember I was in the USFL. So I didn't go to the NFL right away. And so you guys know this, I was doing the games with your dad, I feel like watching that season, there was that constantly reminded me of the Baylor game, right? It's like, oh, they're going undefeated. And, of course we didn't, because we got beat by Baylor. And so it just kind of keeps going around in a vicious circle. But it was an amazing time for BYU football, but it's an amazing time now. I feel like very similar, that's what I love about how it is right now at BYU is it just feels familiar. And every time the BYU football feels like what you just described was happening in 1984 and 83, that familiarity is something I crave for BYU, and that's why I get so excited.
We're with Steve Young on BYU Sports Nation, and let's talk about the head football coach that has now put BYU in this familiar position of winning and so much success. Steve, what does the contract extension of Kalani Sitake, in your opinion, mean for the future of BYU as they transition into the Big 12?
Well, Kalani is, I give Kalani a lot of credit, as you probably everyone should. When he got hired, he was raw, right, in many ways, and we've grown with him. I feel like I have, and I was a huge supporter of Kalani and what he wanted to do. I think that he brings a unique spirit to football, to the team, to player relationships, and he always says Lavelle was his hero and he wants to be like Lavelle. And when I see him catching passes and running up and down the sidelines doing his thing, that is not Lavelle. So I just want everyone to understand that is not channeling Lavelle, the Lavelle that I knew. Now Lavelle was a super funny guy that was way more humorous than you ever would imagine by his look on the sideline. But the idea that Kalani has fostered such success and found people around him to help him do it, and then recognizing how to use people in a way that augments his, like, I'm great at some things, I have some weaknesses in others, and the vulnerability of Kalani to see, because everybody has that, right? And the best people, the best humans figure out where my weaknesses are and how I can get supported. And a lot of people don't ask that question. They just, I have a big stick and I'm the head coach, and everybody just get out of the way. And I've never responded to people like that. And I've had some coaches that were that way, but most of mine were very authentic, vulnerable, smart, honest, good people. I go back to even to Lavelle and to Bill Walsh and some of these forward-thinking people that were always doing things ahead of their time. And Kalani's relationship with his teammates, and that's the way he looks at it. I think he doesn't look at it as the coach and players down here, right? It's like me and my teammates, right? Like we're partners, and that partnership that he forges with his players is, you can feel it. It's deep and it's strong, and that's when we go out and play together. I feel it. I'm watching, and I feel a connection to Kalani, and I feel like I'm part of it. He does that. And that's a powerful thing. So to sign him up, I know Dave Dunn, his agent. Dave Dunn has been my agent for 30 years, and so I'm intimately familiar with this process, and I can tell you that there are a lot of people super interested in Kalani, and Kalani constantly said, "I'm at BYU," and so I give Kalani a lot of credit for that. For getting back and getting this done. But you know who else I give a lot of credit to is Tom Homo. Because Tom forged that relationship with Kalani, a trusting relationship, so that Kalani could not want to look elsewhere. Kalani is a hot prospect. People want him for all the things that we just described, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of people like, you know, and now they're going to the Big 12, and there's not a team in the country that doesn't consider Kalani Sitake as their head coach, as they have an opening. And I apologize for going long here, but it's just there's some emotion around it because of the good humans that are in the middle of this that have made this work. And so Tom's been a friend for 30 years too, since he tried to turn me into a defensive back in 1980, whatever it was, when Doug Scoville told me he doesn't coach lefties. And so Bill Lavelle goes, well, I guess you better play safety. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then Tom Homo started teaching me how to backpedal. I go, Tom, I hate this. He goes, oh, you'll like it. You'll love it. You'll love it. You get to go and run into people, and you get to go tackle them, and you get to go intercept passes. And I was like, Tom, no, this really stinks, Tom. I don't like this at all.
Listen, you found a way to run into people anyway at quarterback.
Yeah, I run into people anyway, right? But so going back to Kalani, so all of that makes me super excited. And what I love about it is he's gathered people that we have made sure that we taken care of, including A-Rod, right? Because I feel like A-Rod's a key future. And look, who's after him? A lot of people. Like you watch BYU's offense, you're like, who's that? Who's running that? And then Kalani allows that to happen. And so anyway, all of it feels like we're set to go and nothing, there's only green grass in front of us. And so getting Kalani back, obviously pretty important. And I won't tear up about it, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Let's get one more big question in the buzz around here. And I remember last season, we talked to you a lot about Zach Wilson. Should he leave and should he go into the pros early? And he was going to be the number 2 overall pick. So that was a no-brainer as it evolved. Tyler Algier is not going to be the number 2 overall pick. He's got an opportunity to stay and play even 2 more years, or certainly 1 more year, or put his name in the draft and take a shot. Steve Young, the agent, the athletic director, the parent, and the BYU fan, what is your advice for young Tyler Algier?
Well, it is personal, this decision. You know, we're taught as football players to always think about, you know, you're trying to create a career for yourself. You're trying to make a place on the team in college. So there's a part of it that's personal and part of it that's selfish in that way. And there's also this huge piece of the puzzle that football asks you to do where you're part of a team. So it's like this, I call it creative tension between the two. And so this is one of those decisions where it really is intimately your own, where you have to kind of figure it out with your family what's best. It's easy for me or you or anyone else to say, okay, Tyler, this is what you should do. But I think I remember when Andrew Luck was going to be the number 1 pick and out of Stanford. And I'm down the street from Stanford, so I was like pretty involved and just interested in what was going on. And Andrew said, no, I want to finish school. That's what I want to do. I'm going to stay because I told myself that's what I want. That was my goal. So I'm going to honor the goal that I had. And so does Tyler have a goal that he needs to honor? Because that's what I would encourage him to do. I really admired Andrew for that. And I think that it paid dividends to Andrew because he was true to who he was. And so if Tyler has that kind of feeling in him, I wouldn't let anyone talk yourself out of it. Like in many ways, if you sense that that's what you want to do and you want to come back and that's what in your gut, then don't, there's nothing else to do. Because in the end, you go pro for the challenge and for the money, right? Because you want to go face the ultimate challenge. That's number 1. And that, look, you're going to get paid. And that's not small, right? That's something that's like, wow, I could change my multi-generational wealth for my family, for my extended family. That's not a bad thing to think about. But in your gut, what do you think you should do? And if your gut says, I want to go back to school, then don't let anyone else in the agents or anyone else or anywhere else tell you what, or, you know what, this ultimate challenge has been in my heart forever. I want to try it. Even if that's the case, then we should have a discussion, because I don't know if it's this year or next year. And running backs, you know, you should really study what running backs are doing in the league and what they're good at, and what running backs are successful. You know, whether it's Alvin Kamara or, you know, like who's doing a great job and what are those qualities and how would I fit? Just because everyone tells you, oh, you'll be great in the pros, Tyler, you'll be great. You'll just, wait a second, back up. because running back is a place in the NFL where it can be a little bit of a commodity, where you might think that you're really good, but then it doesn't fit. And so I would make that study as well. And I don't have a strong opinion about that, but I'm not trying to convince Tyler to stay. I just want to give him the space that that people are trying to convince him that like, oh, you should go, it's the time. Like, I don't know. Hold on a second. What's in my gut? And I would trust what I've seen about Tyler Algier and what I've seen him play. I have been so inspired when he ran down that's
all-timer.
I know it's a highlight. I get that, but you think about what was in his heart to make him make that play. I love that guy. Whoever that is, like, you don't even have to know him. You can watch that highlight and go, whoever that is, I love that guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that is something that we all are. He took us along for the ride about who he is as a human being, and I'm on with Tyler Algier. So whatever he decides, I'm good with.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Former walk-on linebacker, now in position to make a choice about whether to go pro as a running back or stay at BYU. And he was a huge part, obviously, of an unforgettable BYU football season that, yes, ended with a sour taste in the mouth against UAB in the Independence Bowl, Steve. But how will you view the season as a whole? Because I compared it to a really nice steak dinner. The appetizers and salad were delicious. The main course was really good, except for maybe a few weird bites in the middle. But then the dessert just stunk. So how do you view the season as a whole?
I see the season as a vital, important piece to our growth. And so therefore, I don't look at it in its singular nature. I don't like, oh, look at the season and judge it. I see it in a bigger picture and go, what did we gain? And we gained a lot. And in the middle of it, the Big 12, but I mean, which is, existential, right? That we can say this is the greatest season ever at BYU because we got into the Big 12. So it doesn't really matter. But the way we played, think of the games, think of Utah, think about early on and just the excitement that built what around the country, people who love college football now are walking around today going, oh, if you ask them, what do you think about BYU football? Oh, they are amazing. That's amazing what they're doing. You talk about familiar people that are around a few years are like, that's BYU. BYU is back. BYU is back in a way that's just very, fundamental. So that's what this season was, a fulfillment that it wasn't just a Zach Wilson's, juggernaut. That it was like this, BYU is fundamental and substantive, and we're going to be great. So in that way, I loved it. I will admit that was a terrible ending and shocking. And I was like, what in the world's going on? And I don't even want to spend much time on it because it was just, what are we doing? But I feel like this season was a great setup. We didn't get the bowl game that we wanted. Maybe that's part of the problem. I'm a little disappointed in our reaction. But, until we're in a big conference, we're not going to get a big bowl game. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So get over it. But hopefully in the near term, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Because we've been battling that for 38 years.
38 years tonight, you beat a Power 5 team all by yourself.
We've been battling getting into a bowl game that we think is deserving of our record, and we've been complaining and moaning for all those years because we've never gotten it. And the truth is, there's a reason why, and we have to be honest with ourselves. That reason is changing forever. So, but that leads to next year. I'm more nervous about next year than I can be about anything because we have built an expectation, which I love, and I think there's a need to go be great. And this next season, the guys in the next season have to take up every inch of it, and we got to go do it. So, I'm nervous for next year just because of this year.
Steve, warmest wishes to you and your family in the holiday season. We know how busy you are this time of year. I hope you get some days off to enjoy that family time before you head back out for Monday Night Football. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I love the sweaters. By the way, we didn't get to talk about that. They're classic and terrible, so that's awesome.
I'm classic over here. This is classic right here, I'm feeling.
It's the ugly sweater party today.
It's awesome. I love it. It's awesome. I had to look away for a while. I couldn't actually take it all in.
Over the time,
I really have. But then I've seen the detail in it, and I've started to appreciate it. So it Took me a minute. But you guys are the best. You can tell I have a lot of heart for being on your show and love what you're doing. My son now at BYU, so I'm
awesome.
reconnected to everything. So I'm really happy about it. And,
hey, say hi to Taysom for us when you see him Monday night for Monday Night Football.
Yeah. I won't see him. I'm not doing.
You're not
doing it.
Monday, so I'm good.
Good
but
for you.
Taysom's doing something. Let's be honest. That's making people go, well, maybe it's Taysom. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So good luck to him on this playoff run. Can you imagine if they get the playoff? There's 3 games they should win, get them all, get in the playoffs, and who knows, right? Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Steve. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care. See you guys.
Steve Young on BYU Sports Nation.
And one big hitter to the next. Ashley Hatch coming up next as she celebrates her contract extension with us on BYU Sports Nation. What a great holiday show.
Absolutely. And would you advocate for BYU to play in another bowl game? A bigger bowl game? This is BYU Sports Nation.
Dexter & Dexter is a full-service law firm offering a wide range of legal services. Since 1995, we have helped more than 20,000 Utahns both to navigate life's challenges and to make the most of life's opportunities. From auto accidents to criminal defense, and from bankruptcy to family law, we are passionate about shouldering your burdens. To learn more about scheduling a no-obligation consultation, visit dexterlaw.com.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
I don't think I've ever turned on anything from BYU TV and not found myself smiling.
I think it's just really inspiring, just seeing people help one another.
It helps me show my kids good examples of the way that we should live.
I really like Studio C because we can all laugh together.
It's actually something that makes us reconnect and brings us closer to our family.
I love BYU TV.
All of us together. BYU Sports Nation is brought to you by Maersk, enabling global trade for a growing world.
He is Dave. I'm Spencer. This is BYU Sports Nation. To interact with the show at any point, follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Should we whip it?
Let's do it.
The Cougar Whip Around, presented by Maersk, your integrated container logistics company enabling global trade for a growing world. Dave, start us off.
Would you advocate for BYU to play in another bowl game, a second bowl game this season?
No, because of everything we just outlined. So many injuries for BYU football. I know the Gator Bowl is a draw New Year's Eve. It's against Wake Forest, a Power 5 team. Texas A&M had too many COVID players, so they can't go. No, this is not the year for BYU to play a second bowl game.
It'd be insane. Just the idea is nuts.
No.
Who could get 24 guys at the Richards Building, put uniforms on them, send them into the Gator Bowl?
Let 5 and 7 Rutgers go and have their show on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Or Utah State even. Good luck, guys.
How about this, Dave? Some breaking news of sorts in the NFL. Kai Nakua, former BYU football safety and, of course, older brother to Samson and Puka, just signed with Zach Wilson and the New York Jets to their active roster. He could start this Sunday. What do you think?
Love the Nakuas, everything about them. Even if the National Guard went to the Jets, it wouldn't help those guys. That's my reason.
I love it for Kai because he's a guy that has been in the grind. He's been with a bunch of different teams, with the Ravens, the Panthers, the Browns, and now he's with the Jets. I'm happy that he gets his opportunity to play.
Now he's down here with the Jets.
Yeah.
But the money's still green.
Yes, it is.
Nice job, Kai. Good luck. Mark Pope gets the Rothstein treatment Do you like it?
Hey, John Rothstein, college basketball analyst, has made a T-shirt. It says, Mark Pope, keeping the faith. Every time BYU wins a game, he tweets out the same thing. It's a Rothsteinism. I like it. I honestly considered buying one of those T-shirts last night when I saw it.
No kidding. I also saw today that he wrote tonight's Vanderbilt game with BYU as one of the 4 games to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
Across college basketball. Coming up, speaking of tonight's game, we're going to double down. I'm trying to lead the greatest comeback in the history of Sports Nation.
And you're not even on the show.
I know, and I'm not getting help from Shepard either, but we're trying.
Yes, we're bringing it. Plus, Ashley Hatch on her new contract and the Golden Boot win. This is BYU Sports Nation.
If I got hurt and was laid up at home, I wouldn't even think to call a lawyer. What a hassle. I'd want to meet them first.
What if I told you that for your first consultation, your lawyer will come to you, home or hospital?
Really?
Really.
They do that?
If you've been seriously injured, we'll come to you. It's your job to get better. It's our job to deal with the insurance companies and protect your legal rights.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Hi, Spencer Linton here, letting you know when your company joins the BYU team as a corporate partner, your brand can be featured in sports programming on BYU TV and BYU Radio. In addition to all of the great games, you can be part of the BYU coaches shows, place your message in Countdown to Kickoff, basketball pre- and post-game shows, and each weekday on BYU Sports Nation. We invite your team to join ours and become a corporate sponsor of BYU Athletics. For details, email sponsorship@byu.edu today.
I'm fully supportive of your father's decision. This family needs time out.
We said peace and quiet. You don't get quieter than this.
Oh, you mean it's haunted?
I shall become their living nightmare.
We aren't Ghostbusters. I have a plan.
It's nice to meet you.
I am cussed.
This place is starting to feel like home. How do you plead?
For mercy. For love is always with you. And love is stronger than death.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Listen to BYU Sports Nation on demand by downloading the podcast. Just Google BYU Sports Nation podcast, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Happy holidays, everyone, and a Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation alongside Dave McCann. I am Spencer Linton, hanging out in Studio B, and we are pleased to welcome in one of the top women's soccer players in the entire world. Her name is Ashley Hatch, proud BYU alum, Golden Boot winner in the NWSL, and a champion in that league. Ashley, congratulations on everything, and happy holidays.
Thank you. I think that was one of the best introductions I've ever had. So I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
I dare the Washington media to try and top that, but that's a conversation for another time. Let's start with what happened yesterday. The timing of this interview is impeccable because you just signed a new 2-year contract with the Washington Spirit, who won the NWSL championship. What do you think of your new contract and deal to move forward in Washington?
I'm super stoked. I'm really excited, and especially coming off a championship year, to be able to come back to the Spirit and try and do something that's never been done before again is exciting. And we have a good group, and I'm excited to continue to build with what we have.
Ashley, you're a star on the national team as well, down in Australia with a couple of goals, making a lot of headlines. How much fun is it representing the country in soccer?
Oh, it's so fun. It's hard to put into words, to be honest. I was just really grateful and humbled for the opportunity, not only to start, but to be able to net my first goal for the national team, and just excited to continue to push myself to be available for that team whenever they need me.
I think that first goal took 30 seconds or something like that. That's what a quick strike.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Now, I want to go back to that moment. Take us to the quick goal, because you have 2 now as a cap for the national team. But what happened in that moment? Because I felt like I blinked and then it was 1-0.
I feel like I blinked too, and it was 1-0 to be honest. But yeah, it was just a quick start, and the ball, Lynn Williams got it over the defender, and it happened to bounce in front of me, and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, this is the chance. I mean, I always tell myself in tough games, like, it only takes one, and that was the one, and you never know when it's going to come, and it came super early. So I was just grateful that I was ready for it and able to put it in the back of the net.
Well, the sky is the limit for you with the national team. The World Cup is in 2023. Interestingly, the same year BYU joins the Big 12. So as the Cougars join the Big 12, what's your shot at representing the country at the World Cup? Do you feel good about that?
I mean, after last camp, I do, but I mean, you never know. It's such a competitive team and best team in the world. So that's definitely something I'm striving for. And I mean, I have a training session after this, so I'm, prepping now to just be ready for if that opportunity presents itself and just be my best. So yeah, I mean, it's a goal of mine, but you never know.
Fantastic stuff. Ashley Hatch is with us on BYU Sports Nation. You're the Golden Boot winner in the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, on top of winning a team championship. What has changed for you in your game to allow you to go next level and lead the league in scoring?
I mean, this past year, the COVID year kind of messed with everyone's season, but it also allowed me to take a step back and evaluate my game. I mean, because we couldn't play as much as we normally do, I watched a lot of film, talked to my coaches. Chris Ward, who is now our head coach, has helped me just be in better positions, be a little bit more proactive, start my movements and my runs a little bit sooner. Just little tweaks like that to give myself better chances to find the back of the net. So I think that's helped a lot, and just lots of practice, lots of reps, and also just self-confidence. I think finally believing in myself a little bit more has also helped contribute to my success.
So where does one put a golden boot? And do you have to win a second one to have the pair before you can wear it out on the town?
That's a good question. So I don't have it yet. They haven't embroidered my name on it. So they're like, here you go, take pictures with it. Then we're going to embroider it and send it to you. So I was actually going to give it to my parents and let them put it in their house somewhere because it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, I guess I have to win it again to get the other pair.
Some people have a leg lamp that they like to put out for the holidays.
Yep.
Your parents will have a golden boot.
There you go. One of a kind.
I love that. Ashley, as you watched BYU women's soccer now transitioning to your alma mater make their run to their first ever college cup in the national championship, what types of emotions did you feel?
Oh, all the emotions. It was, I don't know, it was so fun to be able to watch them make it all the way. And in my biased opinion, I feel like they were the better team, but that can stay between us. But yeah, it's just really cool to see the program develop and get the respect they deserve. And there's no doubt in my mind that BYU women's soccer can be a team that make it to the Final Four, make it to the championship every single year. And I think the cool part about it is they now set the new standard. For the longest time when I was there, I can't remember, I think it was the Elite Eight, Lindsay Lisenby, her class, that was our standard. They've now beat that standard and they now made it to the national championship. So the new standard is making it to the championship and winning. So I think that's really cool. And I think the sky's the limit for that program. So I'm excited to continue to watch them.
Ashley, you are the standard for professional soccer. You got Michaela Coulihan and Camera Tucker coming into the league. What advice do you have for them as they become professionals?
I would say just be a sponge, learn from others around you, and just work hard. I think the hardest part for rookies specifically is coming from a stellar college career and then coming in and playing with these pros who have been playing professionally at the highest level for 5, 6, 7 years, and they have so much experience. So the sooner you can learn from them, ask questions, and kind of take whatever works for them and apply it to your game, but also be yourself, the quicker you'll be able to find yourself within a league of so many superstars.
Ashley, you have a camp coming up, and I'm not sure whether I should call it a football camp or a soccer camp. You can tell us in that regard because we are still in America, but you've got a camp coming up. Tell us about it and how people can get involved with that.
Yeah, so Bree, my sister, and I were doing a camp January 7th and 8th here in Gilbert, Arizona. There's 2 sessions each day, one for the younger kids, one for the older, like high school girls. And we're really excited. Gonna be doing a lot of stuff that I do, lots of technical work and lots of games and lots of fun. So if you know anyone that's in Arizona, coming out, and we're excited.
We know Cougar Nation is well
and
represented.
You can find it. You can find the link. You can find the link on my Instagram handle. So there you go. That's
awesome.
where you sign up.
It's Christmas time. You're home for the holidays. It's a wonderful time of year. What does this season mean to you?
Oh, it means so much. I mean, because of my career, I'm not able to be home for a lot of things. So to be able to be home with my family and spend a good amount of time together, it means a lot. So I really cherish these moments.
Love that. Ashley, for the record, when you win another Golden Boot, if you decide not to keep it in your house, we've got a nice place in Studio B for it. We can display it on national television every day. Just throwing that out there.
It's an idea.
Okay. Very, very tempting.
Fantastic. Hey, we wish you the best of luck moving forward with your camps and the United States women's national soccer team, not to mention your league play in the NWSL. Thanks, Ashley. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
That's fantastic.
Ashley Hatch with us on BYU Sports Nation. One of the best. What's crazy is she's talking about camps. I remember when she was recruited to BYU and showed up as a freshman because I was calling those games, Dave, and you said—
You're way too young for that.
You said off the air moments ago, you know what, she just got better as a pro. We're just getting older.
What a great representative of BYU. Ashley, thanks. Coming up, our Rise and shout-outs to Christmas. 'Tis the season.
Dave, you know, I would rather just skip over the double downs from last night's BYU basketball game.
We are not skipping the double downs.
But you did some work. Details on that. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork sells Ford vehicles including the F-150, the pickup designed for work and play. Tim Daly Ford maintains a large inventory, providing more choices for selecting an F-150 with the power and engineering to carry and tow heavy loads. The F-150's design offers comfort, safety, and a range of options to choose from. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
This man is the Messiah.
It's contagious, you know.
Say what is?
Kindness. The world can be a beautiful place. We just have to slow down and enjoy it.
Someone left this at my door.
Christmas jar.
Some people have now been inspired to start jars of their own.
Where do you think this idea came from?
And that's what I want to figure out and write about.
There is a long history of journalists in this country going undercover for the sake of a good story.
This jar filled with change. It renewed my faith.
These jars are proof that the magic of Christmas is real.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, always available on demand via the BYU TV and BYU radio apps. Dave, it's time to recap and give out our new double down picks. Frankly, they were terrible last night, aside from something you did.
Listen, the game was terrible. Let's be honest.
More on that. We're contractually obligated to rehash these. We'll start with Jerem, who went 0 for 2 as BYU. He said would shoot better than 42%. They didn't, 36%. He also thought Seneca Knight was going to score 10 points. Seneca didn't. He scored 2, and it was a buzzer beater right before halftime.
And the other team actually scored it.
Yeah, they tipped it in, kind of.
They knocked it in. Thanks, South Florida. All right, I had BYU at be plus 10 in the rebounds. They dominated 48-30.
Plus 18.
Take a point there. I had Lucas scoring 20 after seeing that hat on our show from the beach yesterday. That was not an inspiration.
He had
4 points, so no bonus there for me. He struggled. He's got to be better tonight.
I was on the cusp of something great, but just ended up frustrated. I said BYU would have 4 players in double figures. They had 3, and Caleb Boner had 9 points. He needed 1 point for me to get there. Didn't happen. Number 2, I said BYU will have a double-digit lead at halftime. They naturally had a 9-point lead at halftime.
It's like you built Frosty the Snowman. You just didn't have the magic hat.
No, I didn't have the magic hat. So after that, Jerem's still in front, 22-11. Dave, you got a point for you and the guest, so you're at 5. Okay, here are Jerem's picks for tonight's game against Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Number 1, he says Scottie Pippen Jr., SEC preseason player of the year, will score 17 or fewer points. And he said number 2, the first team to 66 will win the game.
Okay. I've got Barcelo and Lucas combining for 35. They combined for 14 last night, so they got to be better tonight. And BYU had 16 turnovers last night. They'll have fewer than Vanderbilt tonight.
All right,
I don't know if that's 50, 49 or whatever, but fewer than Vanderbilt.
Fewer than Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
All right, number 1 for me, Caleb Lohner, who had a career-high 14 rebounds last night because USF could not make a shot. He averages 7.5 rebounds a game. He's going to have double figures again. He's going to have at least 10 rebounds again for number 1. And BYU will shoot 36% or better from the three-point line. They averaged 35%. They shot 27% from the three-point line last night. So I'm hoping that Caleb rebounds and BYU makes some more threes.
I'm hoping that too. Even if you get points, I'm hoping as a viewer
Thank you.
that happens.
Appreciate
that. Our question of the day and the response, our elite voice of the day, presented by Sundance Mountain Resort. This is from @KipnickKent. Dear Santa, I'm as high as a kite over the Big 12 invite, and so happy we beat our foe. And happier I'd be twins, about our 10 wins, and feeling right brawny about keeping Kalani. Now this Christmas, one thing will make my heart sing. Just one more year with Tyler Algier. #BYUSN. Nice job. That took a lot of thought and effort. And
a poem from @KipKent.
It was fantastic. I think it captured everything.
Well, and encompassing all of it, the last line, or the last stanza, really, just one more year with Tyler Algier.
You can feel the pleading.
Right?
Loved what Steve Young had to say about Tyler Algier. And you can watch this show again on our app if you missed it. Fantastic.
22-minute interview with the GOAT, Steve Young. Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. And we want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas. No live BYU Sports Nation tomorrow on Christmas Eve. But unbelievably, we get that day off, Dave.
And you've deserved it.
So we,
it's a Christmas miracle.
It really is. But we love all of you. We appreciate your support and constantly watching the show. And shout out to you, Dave, for hanging out with me the last 2 days.
Hey, it's been great. My pleasure. Merry Christmas, everybody. Special shout out to Steve Young and Ashley Hatch joining us today. 2 superstars.
Absolutely. And Merry Christmas, Dennis Pitta. We're extending an olive branch, right, to Dennis?
We love you, Dennis.
For Dave McCann, I'm Spencer Linton. Shout out to Eddie Stinnett for throwing that pass back in '83.
You can do it, Eddie.
Go Cougs.